I have the zchus of being the president of Soy for this upcoming year. In the Hashem Ori, we recite the pasuk of Acha Sha'al Be'etz Hashem Osa Avakesh Shifti Be'etz Hashem before you make Ayai. There is one thing I ask of Hashem, to dwell in the house of Hashem for all the days of my life. The goal and purpose of YU is summed up by this pasuk. YU gives us the tool to live our entire lives based on the values and lessons that we learned here, and then use those lessons to turn every structure in which we dwell into a house of Hashem. The question is, how do we make sure that we actually take advantage of the opportunities presented here at YU, so that we spend our time here obtaining the skills and values that are vital to the rest of our lives? The Berman asks on the pasuk, why is there a double formulation? Why does the pasuk need to say Acha Sha'alti and Osa Avakesh? Aren't She'ela and Bakasha the same thing? Why did the pasuk just say that there is one thing that I want? Why is the double lashon of She'ela and Bakasha necessary? What is the difference between a She'ela and a Bakasha? The Berman answers based on the Gemara Nida on the Ayin and the base. The Gemara Nida asks, what is the way that a person can become a Chacham? The Gemara responds that he should be Yarba in Yeshiva, that he should sit and learn. The Gemara retorts that many people have tried this and were unsuccessful. The Gemara then says that the way to be the Chacham is to request mercy from the one that Chacham belongs to. In other words, to daven. The Gemara then concludes that both learning and davening by themselves are insufficient. A person needs to do both in order to become a Chacham. We see that in order to accomplish something, both tefillah and hishtadlus are necessary. The Berman uses this idea to explain the double lashon in the pasuk. She'ela refers to davening and asking Hashem for something. Bakasha, similar to the way we use the word mevakesh, means to seek out and implies a more active level of participation. Therefore, explains the Berman, Bakasha refers to the active mitzvah of hishtadlus that is necessary, that a person has to go out and try to achieve what he wants to accomplish through his own efforts. Both She'ela and Bakasha are necessary in order to achieve the level of Shifti Beis Hashem, Kol Yimei Chayai. What practical ramifications does this idea have for us? Firstly, we see the need to daven for our own success. We have to make sure to take advantage and to participate in the various tefillah initiatives that the yeshiva is providing for us in order to improve our davening and relationship to Hashem. In terms of our necessary hishtadlus, our necessary bakasha, there are many pieces of advice that one can offer, like staying in for Shabbos, participating in programs that the yeshiva runs, and ensuring that one maintains a positive attitude and avoids being cynical. I want to, however, focus on one piece of advice which Rabbi Penner offered in order to ensure that we can walk away from YU and able to accomplish Shifti Beis Hashem, Kol Yimei Chayai. In the parsha that we read this past Shabbos, we read about the case of the Ben Sora Mora. Much literature is written as to why the Ben Sora Mora is treated so harshly. Didn't he merely eat some meat, drink some wine, and not listen to his parents? The Ramban suggests that the Ben Sora Mora violated the commandment of Kedoshim Tiyu. Mori Rabbi Rosenzweig suggested an explanation of the Ramban, the ramifications of which I think are the key to achieving Shifti Beis Hashem, Kol Yimei Chayai. Rosenzweig suggests that one can only understand the egregiousness of the Ben Sora Mora's actions if he understands the Ramban about Kedoshim Tiyu. The Ramban thinks that Kedoshim Tiyu refers to a novel Rishus HaTorah, something which is technically mutter, but goes against the spirit of the Torah and its values. Rav Rosenzweig points out that based on the Ramban, Kedoshim Tiyu teaches us that we need to cultivate a personality from the Torah's values that go beyond just mitzvos and averos. Rav Rosenzweig suggested that the way that a person is able to cultivate these values is through the guidance and influence of impressive role models and authority figures. Therefore, the Ben Sora Mora, who rebels against his parents, has emphatically rejected the goal of Kedoshim Tiyu, which is critical in order to be an Eved Hashem. In order to succeed in YU religiously and to obtain Shifti Beis Hashem, Kol Yimei Chayai, everyone needs to have a religious role model and mentor. This religious mentor is crucial in obtaining the values that one needs for the rest of his life. Furthermore, this religious mentor will be able to help with personal matters and decisions that we are struggling with. Baruch Hashem, in YU, we have so many different types of people and personalities that are able to serve as our religious mentor. We should use the many programs that Soy and RIETS will be running as opportunities to expose ourselves to many different personalities in an attempt to find one or more religious mentors that speak to us. And if anyone has any ha'aros as to any programs or events that they think can improve YU or help them grow religiously, please come over to me personally or send me an email at moshespirn@gmail.com. In Yirtzeh Hashem, Hashem should bless us that we'll be zocha to find here at YU a religious mentor who will assist us in attaining the level of Shifti Beis Hashem Kol Yemei Chayai. It is now my schos to introduce our president, Rabbi Berman.
Thank you, Moshe. That's an incredible beginning to this wonderful year. It's my great privilege and honor to speak here in the Yeshiva to open up this year of learning Masechet Bava Kama. It's a privilege to stand in the presence of the leadership of this Yeshiva, the incredible Rosh Yeshiva of Yeshiva University. Moshe just spoke about the importance of finding a leader, an authority figure, a guide, a mentor. You have amongst you the greatest rabbis, the greatest Rosh Yeshiva of our generation, not just in learning, but as role models, as people. And you have in front of you the opportunity to find those role models, to find those people who care about you, who love you this year and throughout your lives. It's a pleasure and privilege to be in their presence. It's a privilege to be in the presence of the leadership, the administrative leadership of our incredible dean, Rabbi Menachem, who devotes so much of his time, energies, insight, wisdom to ensuring that this yeshiva continues to grow. Rabbi Kalinsky, his partner in this impressive and important endeavor, who works at his side and independently to grow Yeshiva University in a myriad of ways. It's a privilege to stay in the presence of the lay leadership, the chairman of the board of RIETS, Joel Schreiber, who was with us opening this year, this incredible year of learning. And to stand in front of our Talmidim. Let me tell you, this is it's not always simple. Our tasks in Yeshiva University, and what makes it worthwhile. What makes it worthwhile is to see you. To see you and to see the promise of our future. I want to open up this year with a brief shiur p'ticha, or what I've come to learn since I've been back, a shiur psicha. I think it's easier for people to understand if I switch to my Girsa Yankusa. I apologize for Goldlift. And to focus as a shiur psicha on, of course, the first Mishnah in the Sechet Bava Kama. It's going to be hard for you. Arba avos nezikin, ashor v'abor, v'amave v'hed. The four avos nezikin, the Mishnah teaches us, two of them at least, it's clear what they mean. Which are the two that we know what they mean? Shor, Berman, and Hever. What's clear? Say again. Bor is clear and Hever. So bor is clear, we know it's talking about pits. Hever is clear, it's talking about Aish. Question is, what does shore mean and what does mava mean? What are the choices? What are the choices of shore? What are the choices of shore? Say again? So it could be shore b'chol mili shore, Karen, Shane, and Regel. Could be all three. Other options? Could be Karen. And then what is Mave? What are the choices for Mave? Are we up to that yet?
Adam and Shane.
Adam and Shane. Machogas Rav and Shmuel, whether it's Adam and Shane. Yerushalmi actually has a different parish. What's Yerushalmi's parish? The shore is Karen, and the Mave is Shane and Regel. So we know there's some ambiguity between these two, which we'll get back to. One of the important comments, and perhaps even intriguing comments, that's made right away in the Mishnah is by Rashi, when Rashi says that the order of the Mishnah was said in the order of the Psukim. The order of the Mishnah of Shor, Bor, Mava, and Hever is said in this way because it's the same order of the Psukim. And all the Parsha wonder, what exactly does that mean that Shor, Bor, Mava, and Hever is the order of Psukim? Depending on what you hold these things are, would influence the way that you see the Psukim, or the way that you see if it can fit into the Psukim. And talk about how exactly they fit into the Psukim, how Shor is first, Bor, Mava, depending what it is, Hever. I want to open this Shor with a broader question, which is, why is it important? Why is it important that the order of the Mishnah follows the order of the Psukim? Assuming Rashi, why would that be significant? Why would Yehuda Nasi order the Mishnah in this way? What's the connection between the Psukim and the order of the others? And I raise this question because I think that this touches on a fundamental yisod, a fundamental, foundational issue lying at the core of Niskei Mamon. The issue perhaps is summed up by the end of the Mishnah. The issue touches on what exactly is the fundamental mechayev of Niskei Mamon. The Mishnah at the end tells us that the Tzad HaShovash HaBahen, the common denominator of all the Avos Nezikin is Shedarcha Mahazik U'Shmirasan Alecha. The common denominator of them all is Darcha Mahazik U'Shmirasan Alecha. To speak in very general terms, there are a lot of variations of this Chakira, and this is only a brief Shir Psicha. One can view this phrase in one of two ways. It could be that Darcha Mahazik is just a means to get to Shmirasan Alecha. That since the object is Darcha Mahazik, you are chayav, you are obligated to watch it. What is the essential mechayev? The essential mechayev is that you're closer, your shmira. You have a lack in your shmira, and the object did damage. And therefore, you enable the object, you were supposed to watch it, prevent it from doing damage. And you enable the object, by not watching it, to do damage. Who then really is the damager, the cause of the damage? It's you. Your lack of shmira, you're the one, you should have been more careful. It goes back to you. The issue of the machayev is the shmira. That's one way of reading it. Another way is that Darcha Mahazik, you have a mazik. You have something in your possession that's a mazik that does damage. And halacha teaches us that anything that's a mazik that does damage, the owner of that mazik, the owner of that object, has to pay for the damages. You aren't the damager, the object is the damager, but you are responsible to pay for the damages that come from anything that is under your possession that is a mazik. What then is Shmirasan Alecha? Shmirasan Alecha isn't the essential mechayev. Shmirasan Alecha actually is a p'tur. If you watch it, then you are patur. Why would you be patur if you watch it? So it could be that maybe a type of p'tur ones, you did everything that you could. could be, it depends on the watching, but it could be that if you watch it so much, it's no longer a mazik. I mean, the issue is that you're chayiv to pay for a mazik. But the owner of the baal of the mazik has to pay for the mazik. If you watch it so carefully, then it's no longer a mazik. If it's tied up so well, it's not a mazik. So you would be patur from paying. But the point is, shmiras alecha is not the essential machayev, it's in fact a potential patur. So the two overarching, again, there are many varieties of how to say this, but as a general chatira, is the machayev of this mamon, the choser shmira, the lack of watching, or you're the one really who's the cause of the damage? Or is the damage the object, the mamon, a mazik, and if it's a mazik, then you're chayiv to pay for it as the baal of that mazik. Shmira is just a patur. What's an afkamina between these two approaches? What's an afkamina, by the way? What's an afkamina between these two approaches? Okay, one possible nafkamina is the first day. One possible nafkamina is your level of shmira that you need in order to trigger the patur. This is machlokes between the Tanam. Let's take Shor Shanaga, for example. Take Karen Muad as an example. Machlokes Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Elazar. We'll put Rabbi Elazar to the side, although that does clarify. But Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Meir, whether Shmir Pchusa is sufficient for patur for Shor Shanaga when it comes to Muad. According to one opinion, as long as you have a shmir pchusa, which is a shmir karoi, you watched it properly, then if the animal gets out and does damage and gores, you're patur. According to the other opinion, no, it's not enough for shmir pchusa, you need a shmir me'ula. It's not just enough to watch it properly, but you have to watch it even greater than that. Even things that you can't anticipate. You should be watching on that level. If you watch it on that level, then you're patur. What's the machlokes between them? It could be this is the issue. That if you say that the lack of shmira is the essential machayev, that the issue is your negligence, that you were posheya, that you caused it, as long as you watched it korah, you watched it properly, so that's sufficient. So you're not going to be chayev. If you say that you're chayev automatically, you're a baal mazik, you're automatically chayev. Shmira, that's a shmira me'ula, that's such a great shmira, that maybe it could redefine the object and it's no longer a mazik, or that it reaches the level of a kind of Torah, and that level, that's a shmir move. So what level of shmir you need might be one after. Another might be kinyanim. You actually have to own the object in order to be chayim. You know, the girsa the Rif brings in this Tzad HaShava is mimoncha. That another Tzad HaShava possibility, machlokes of yourselves, whether it has to be yours, it has to be in your possession. But you have to own it. Now this isn't such a clear cut nafkamina because kinyanim, whether you have to own it for kinyanim to be the baal isn't so clear. Well, let's just for again a general opening shiur, let's just postulate that. And here you have a number of examples where people were not necessarily the owners, or at least it presses the issue. Could be chayav, where we see that are chayav in ezikin. For example, a ganav, shomer, and you have to talk about what are the kinyanim of a ganav, the kinyanim of a shomer, in what sense he fulfills or fills the place of the baal. Let's take that as an example. So you bring the animal of your friend onto the grain of someone else. So the Gemara in Nun Days, says that you're chayiv. Why are you chayiv? It's machlokes Rashi but Tosfos. Rashi says it's Adam, but Tosfos says it's shame regel. You're chayiv for shame. How can you be chayiv? You don't own the animal. So it could be this very issue, meaning what's the fundamental machayev? The more you say it's about you're the one who did the damage. So then you may not need the kinyanim in order to, the kinyanim may not matter as much. But if you're saying that you're the Baal of the thing and you're chayav to pay as the Baal of the object, perhaps kinyanim there are more central in order to create the scheme. Now, in truth, it's not one or the other, but it can depend on which of the avos that we're talking about. When it comes for shore, when it comes to Karen, for example, or shore, there could be a distinction between Karen on the one hand and Shein and Regel on the other. The Gemara says in an Hamid Maze, take for example the issue of Shmira, that even if you hold that you need a Shmira Ma'ula for a Shor Shanagach for a Mu'ad, when it comes to Shein and Regel, Shmira Pechusa is sufficient. That even if you hold that you need a Shmira Ma'ula in order to be Patur for Karen, when it comes to Shein and Regel, even a Shmira Kuroi is sufficient. And the limud that the Gemara says is actually very telling. Right, the Gemara, when it talks about it, quotes Ubir B'Steacher, and it says, and it explains, Ubir B'Steacher, Adra Abad Ke'en Ubir. Regel B'Sil B'Shilach, Adra Abad Ke'en B'Shilach. That it has to be as if you're doing it. The time you're chayiv is as if you're doing it yourself. If you have a shmir b'chusa, then you're not doing it. You've watched its kira'un. When it comes to shein and regel, it's possible, but there the essential chayiv is you doing it. You're doing it through the vehicle, in a sense, it's down the line, but it's through a vehicle of the animal. And when it comes to Karen, that's actually as the Baal of the Baal Hamazik, Hamanos Hamazik, that's a different Machayev. The same thing could be by Menachem. Remember, when I was here, in the Kol Elyon under Rav Khan, I was supposed to be in Kol Elyon when Rav Khan was the Rosh Kollel. So at the time, a young Chaim Packer gave a shir on Menachem. Young Chaim Packer, do you remember that shir? So if I remember correctly, tell me if I'm wrong, but Chaim said, I think Chaim brought the Gemara New Gimel on the bet, the Nagach v'Afrikach Shehiftir, Afrikach Hiftir. Right, the Gemara there says that the Chasim Yuchadim, when one of the possibilities of understanding what is your Chayav only if you own the shore, and the Gemara is one of the possibilities. Let's say the shore gorge, you own the shore, and then afterwards you're mafkir the shore. You're still so in that case you're patur. So Chaim said, why are you patur in that case? You are Chaim. And he quoted, and as I didn't remember, I had to check my notes on this. I think he quoted the Divrei Cheskel, who said that the difference is between Karen and Shein and Regel. When it comes to Karen, the issue is violence. You need to own it. And if you're mafkir afterwards, even though you owned it during the time of the Negicha, if you're mafkir afterwards, then you're patur. When it comes to Shein and Regel, it's not about being the Baal Mazik. There, it's about you causing, even in some this indirect way, you're causing the hezek. There's a difference between Karen and Shein and Regel that cuts that you see with these nafkaminas, both in the issue of Shmira and in the issue of Bible. It's the same difference between Karen on the one hand and Shein and Regel on the other. You certainly can find when it comes to Bor on the one hand and Eish on the other. Right? It's the same breakup. I mean, one is when the animal is moving independently, and when it comes to Asian and Bor, these are things you're creating. Okay, but it's a very different kind of Machai. When it comes to Aish, similarly in Bava Kama, when they talk about Shmir Pchusa is sufficient, and they have a very similar limud. Hamavir at Aveira, ad da'avid ke'ei mavir. You have to be the Mavir. If you do a Shmir Pchusa, then you're no longer the Mavir. And certainly when it comes to Mamoncha, it's not, Stosa says in Gimel on the bet. That also is a difference when it comes to Aish. What is that Aish, perhaps even more clearly, and with koach achal murabbo is seen as attached to your actions. Again, everything I'm saying is very general. You don't have to go through the sugyos, mishukisa, mishumamono. You go through everything. But as an overarching general rubric. When it comes to bor, however, it's the opposite. I remember when I was, I guess I was the rabbi of the Jewish Center at the time, and I was teaching here. I would always carry with me a number of questions, any questions I had, just in case I bumped into a Rosh Yeshiva at some wedding or some simcha, and I'd have like in my back pocket the questions that I needed answered. So I was thinking about bor, and I bumped into Rabbi Rosenzweig at a wedding, and I pulled him out. I felt bad about it. And we were speaking about bor, and Rabbi Rosenzweig quoted as the best, I think he said it was his best raya for this, you could ask him, was the Shita of Rav Nassan, Nun Gimel Amud Aleph, right, when it comes to bor. So Rav Nassan says, it's really so hard to say, not Rabbi Natan, but Rav Nassan says that that you have a case where there are two people, where you have shore of one person pushes the shore into the pit of another. Okay, they're both chayiv to pay, both the Baal HaShor and the Baal HaBor chayiv to pay half. What if the shore is a short tam? So then the short tam only has to pay chatzi nezek, so he doesn't have to pay half, he has to pay a quarter. And then how much does the Baal HaBor have to pay? He has to pay 3/4. And the Gemara wonders, why would that be true? Why would he have to pay 3/4? And there's a dian how to understand it. There are two different ways. But one of the ways is that really each one, Rav Nassan understands that each one only contributed half the damage. Each one only contributed half the damage. Well, each one only contributed half the damage, and there's a third possibility, meaning the Baal HaBor contributed half the damage, so he does half. The short tam is only chayav a quarter, and the nizak will lose a quarter. Why should the Baal HaBor pay 3/4? So the Gemara answers that the shore, the Baal HaShor, the nizak can say, listen, my shore is in your pit, you need to pay me the rest. Why is that an answer? The Rosenzweig said, because that is the quintessential expression that you're chayav, not because of something that you did or that was done, but because you're the Baal HaBor, is in this expression, because you only did half. But you're chayav to pay 3/4. Why? Because it's not about what you're chayav. It's about the damage happening in your pit. So the split between Karen on the one and Shein and Regel on the other, as a rubric, can also be seen with bor on the one hand and H on the other. Interestingly, Shmira B'chusa actually also works by bor, which would seem to run counter to what I'm saying, but that's really not an issue of Shmira. That's more so that it's no longer defined as a bor, and you can go and you'll do that when you study the Sukkah. Now also the issues of Mamono, it's very, how Mar Psachim makes bor part of your Mamon, so you go see that when you learn it. But as a general framework, what you have is a split. You have Karen and bor on the one hand, and you have Shein, Regel, and H on the other. Not coincidentally, this is what you find in the Psukim. This is actually what we find in the Psukim. When the Torah starts talking about the issue of Niskei Mamon, it starts actually, at least if you follow the order according to Rashi, it starts by Shor Niskal. The focus is on the Baal HaShor. It's on the Baal. You have in the beginning a Baal HaShor Naki, you have a Huad B'Ba'alav, you have repetition of Baal. Certainly when it comes to bor, which is said right afterwards, you have Baal HaBor Yishalem. Who's chayav to pay? The Baal HaBor is chayav to pay. Similarly, the Chigo of Shor Ish at Shor Re'eu. It's the shore of the Ish that goes Shor Re'eu. All of these Lo Yishmeru Ba'alav, there's a focus on Baal. The issue is being the Baal, again, whether it's Kinyanim or even you could broaden that definition perhaps, but being the Baal over the Mazik which is Machayim. Then the Psukim interrupt with Geneva, which is clearly Adam kind of focus. And then it tells you about Shein, Regel, and H. And how does it tell you about that? Ki yaver ish sadeh okeren. Who consumes the sadeh okeren? Ki yaver ish sadeh okeren. The person consumes the sadeh. How is it consumed? V'shilachet bihira u'be'er b'stei acher. As Chazal read it in two different Machayim. He consumes it by sending his animal into Rishus HaMizah. He consumes it by sending his animal, which is orche and is eka matzoi, and it's normal. And what's going to happen when your animal goes into somebody else's property? Of course what's going to happen? It's going to trample somebody's ground. It's going to eat his field. Who's the consumer of this? Who's the one who's really doing the damage here? You're doing it. You're letting your animal into someone's property. Ad kein David ubir. If you had a shmir b'chusa, that would be sufficient. You didn't do a shmir b'chusa, it's like you did it. Similarly, kiteitzei eish, shalem yishlem ha'mavir et ha'be'ira. The focus is on the person. It's not on being the owner of the being, but it's on the person. Perhaps that's why Rashi says in the beginning that it's important that Shor, Bor, Mav, and Heber is following the order of the Psukim. Because the Psukim are revealing the essential Machayev of the of Niskei Mammon. That it's not a coincidence that Shor Bor on the one hand and Mav Heber is on the other. I think it was the Tosfos Rush. It says it's put in this order because it rhymes. There's a rhythm to it. It's a good rhythm. Shor Bor is one kind of Machayev. Mav Heber is another type of Machayev. Depending on how you weight those two, will teach you about the essential Machayev of the Avos. And it's crucial to start from the beginning. Look at the Psukim. When you learn Baba Kama, don't open up to the Mishnah. When you learn anything, don't open up straight to the Torah. First, look at the Torah Shabbat. Look at the Psukim. But in the Psukim, you reveal the essential Machayev to the point that Rabbi Nasi thought it was important to shape the Mesechet around these four Avos in this order, because the order itself is telling when it comes to the Avos Tzitzit. The issue of the essential Machayev when it comes to Bava Kama, I think it's important not just to understand Bava Kama, but also and moreover to give us a sense of the importance of Bava Kama when it comes to the rest of our lives. Rabbi Yehuda famously says in Bava Kama Lam Aleph that if you want to be a chassid, you should learn Ezekiel. It's an unusual opinion. Perhaps strikes us more the other opinion. Learn Avos. You learn Avos, you can understand to be a chassid. Why is it that when you learn Ezekiel, and Ezekiel means all the Avos, why is it that when you learn Bava Kama, Bava Tzia, and Bava Basra, why is it that makes you more of a chassid? I think, or I'd like to suggest, that what's reflected in all these Masechtos, which is reflected in our essential Chakira, is how your actions matter. It's how everything that you do, both actively and even passively, both things that you're doing and even the things that you own, and what they're doing, how you are fundamentally responsible for it. And the lesson, of course, of Bava Kama is not just in the negative, don't do damage. But what Rabbi Yehuda is indicating when he mentions being a chassid is that it also turns around to the positive as well. If you think about your actions and the repercussions of your actions, and taking responsibility for your actions. Both your positive actions, passively, the world around you, your environment, your house, your possessions. And you think proactively and positively. It's not just about not doing damage, but what a positive influence you will have. And this, to me, is an essential element of Yeshiva's Rabbi and Yeshiva University. What we teach you here is that you have the power to make a difference. You have the power to shape your lives, to shape the lives of the people around you, to shape the Jewish community and the world at large. That you are the leaders of tomorrow. And I think about this in 5 concentric circles, which I'll say very quickly. Number 1 is your family and your friends and your personal lives. When we talk about that you're the leaders of tomorrow, the most important people that you're going to be mashpia, the most important circle of influence you have, by far, without question, are the people around you that love you the most, that you love the most. They're the most important. They're the ones that you're going to set a standard. They're the ones that are going to be most influenced. They're the ones that are closest to you. Being a leader of tomorrow means being a role model, teaching, loving, caring. The inner circle, certainly. Secondly, your professional lives. What we're doing at Yeshiva University is we're not just embracing the part of you that's learning Bava Kama, but we're embracing each part of you. The one that wants to be a scientist, the one that wants to go into technology, the one that wants to grow the world's economy. Each part of you, with all of your special talents and skills, so you can develop the whole of you and go out into the world and make a difference. When you're in your professions, we believe that you're making a difference in your professional lives. Both in the content of what you're doing and in the way that you do it. That you are Makadeh Shem Shemayim Barabin. That by identifying as an Orthodox Jew and by acting in the workplace in a way that brings respect, by acting in a way where people admire, with the right ethos and character, that you are Makadesh Shem Shemayim. Third, your local community, your yeshivot, your shuls, your institutions, that you are the ones who will step up and take leadership roles and ensure that the Masorah is being passed down in our community with strength and passion and substance. And you're the ones who are going to be out here with the knowledge and background to do it. Number 4, the global Jewish community. I just had a lunch a number of weeks ago. Some of the leaders of Birthright wanted to meet with me, and they said to me that we want to meet with you because we're interested in creating a program to train Yeshiva University students to be the counselors on the buses of Birthright. Why should they be the counselors on the buses of Birthright? Because who in our community is both deeply rooted in their Jewish identity, in the Jewish texts, in their learning, in their love of Yadut, in their Zionism, and their love of Israel, who are also culturally conversant and able to speak to the broader Jewish community and connect with the broader. Who amongst us can do that, if not for the students of Yeshiva University? It was funny that he said this to me because I've been actually saying it for months already. I went to the Birthright dinner. It's an amazing dinner. They raised over $100 million. The things that we should be learning from Birthright. They raised over $100 million at dinner. And people ask me, why are you at this dinner? Your students aren't eligible to be participants in the buses of Birthright. I said, it's true. Our students aren't the participants in the buses of Birthright. We're the counselors. We're the ones that can go out and make a difference in the world. And let me tell you, part of what we're doing is population studies and studying the demographics. The Orthodox Jewish community is growing in strength and importance in the diaspora, while the other groups are decreasing in their size. We are growing in importance in the opportunities that we have because of this. To assume the mantle of leadership and be mashpia on a much broader level is enormous, and it's just going to grow. And it's not just in the broader Jewish community. It's in the global society, it's in the broader world as well. One of the fascinating conversations I had this year was with Father Joe McShane, who was the president of Fordham University, a Jesuit priest. He said to me, Yeshiva University is so important. It's so important the way that you bring your values into this world as a role model. He said that when you go on a donor visit, take me with you. I will tell the donor how important Yeshiva University is. I thought this would be an amazing beginning of a joke. The rabbi and the priest walks in the room, and they raise money for Yeshiva University. I have not yet done this, but I am tempted. But it's not just in. I have heard this. I'm telling you, I've heard this from numbers of people. Notre Dame came to us to learn how we're doing it. But it's not just from Catholics. I've heard it from Mormons. Perhaps the most amazing story that I can tell you that happened to me this year, I received a call from someone who said he just came from Riyadh. He just came from Riyadh, and he was speaking to the inner circle of the prince, and Yeshiva University came up. I'm like, how? In what context? Was it our Amazing Shabbos program? Like, in what context did Yeshiva University come up? And he said, well, the prince is very interested in thinking about how Islam could actually fit into contemporary times. How could it possibly be that there's a tradition that could fit? And we're thinking, where's there a model of a place that knows how to bring their 3,000-year-old tradition of wisdom into this world? And they said Yeshiva University. They actually quoted the Rav. It said Rabbi Salvation in Yeshiva University. And he called me to ask me, would there be interest in order for us to speak to them, to help them think through, how to do such a thing. I thought, can you imagine if we were involved in the modernization of Islam? That's something. That's something. But this is the sense that I've been getting. The sense that I received by going around this country and the world on behalf of Yeshiva University is that we have an enormous amount of people rooting for our success. And that this specifically is a moment of opportunity. And people are waiting for Yeshiva University. The Rav famously said in Kol Dovito Faith that the advent of the state of Israel hearkened a number of new opportunities for the Jewish people. And I think that very much now is another moment of these new opportunities. Now we don't just celebrate the new state of Israel. We celebrate the growth of the state of Israel, where Israel has emerged from being a small, tiny country that stood just in vulnerability to become one that is a significant power, an economic power, a power of innovation, power that now is an opportunity for us to tap into. Not to think of Israel as something that we need to just help as side of chesed, but how to connect with Israel to help us in our opportunities. That Israel is an enormous opportunity. Our accessibility to Torah texts, that today the learning that goes on, the ability to learn, the communications that we have, the shiurim. We spread Torah today like never, perhaps never before. How the world can hear the words of Torah. that our communication system has given us the ability to spread our messages. And today, we have people who are interested in our global moral leadership, who want to understand how positive Jewish values can play a role in our rapidly changing world. Today is not like yesterday. There are new opportunities. There are new opportunities for each of us in all of these spheres, in all of these 5 spheres that we need to think about, where the shift in the world dynamic makes everything that we do that much more important. And it comes to your individual lives, your personal lives, your family, raising your family, how crucial it is to pass the Masort, how crucial your inner circle, your professions, your Jewish community, the broader Jewish community, and even the world. The world needs Yeshiva University. The world is very much waiting for you. And as we study Bava Kama, and as we understand the impact of our actions, the resonances of our actions, that it's the positive actions, it's the passive actions, everything around us, all of these are our responsibility. Think about it in the positive and the effects that you can have. The effects and the impact that you can have at this great moment of opportunity. We're embarking on a new year. There's a great new journey in front of us. There's a great new journey for each of our students, a great new journey for Yeshiva University. We've been working a lot on creating the institution and building the institution so that in its professional capacities to prepare you as professionals, in its capacity to prepare you personally for the lives of meaning and purpose, that we are at our peak so that you can be at your peak. At Yeshiva University, we are building tomorrow today. Shana Tova.
Just a few words in conclusion, and then we'll start we'll end this and start the Zman with a little Rikud in the Beis Medrash. Last year we conquered the plaza. The plaza is good conquered, good. It's also very hot in the plaza this year. For those of us who spent the summer here working and preparing, it is a tremendous joy to see all of you. Sometimes one can think that Yeshiva University and that the Yeshiva is a building, is an institution, is very hard-working people like our president, our administrators. But the reality is that the Iker is missing until you show up and you provide the Kol Tov. This morning, for the first time in 2 months, maybe 3 months, I was able to come into the Beis Medrash and say, this is the Yeshiva. This is what we're here for. I want to thank, on the one hand, all of the Rosh Yeshiva, the Rabbeim, throughout the Yeshiva. It's so great to see you, to shake your hands today, to thank Rabbi Joel Schreiber and the board for everything they do, to thank all the Mashgichim. But the real joy is to see you, because you are what brings this place to life. You are our future, and you are what makes this place such an exciting yeshiva to be. I want to come down from where the president was just a little to focus on Elul. I don't mean to distract from our conquering of the world. We'll get there. We're going to get there. I want to just focus you before we go to the Rikud on a few things just for this Zman of Elul. It's a cruel trick that's played on us when Elul starts in the middle of August, because we don't really have a lot of time left. We're still holding that we're just getting back, but the Ribono Shel Olam has been waiting us for the last couple of weeks and saying, where are the young fellas? We have to really take advantage of the time that we have now. It's easy to kind of look past this short Zman this short Elul Zman and say that really the year is going to be in Cheshvan. But we dare not do that with the Yemei Hadin in front of us. The opposite is true. We have to pack a full Elul Zman into really what comes down to about 3 weeks. And for that I ask everybody to give this Zman their all, remembering that if you chas v'sholom get a flu for a couple of days and you don't get into it now, there still is Loref Zman. The flip side, you could just miss it, but to encourage everyone to make the most of this Zman, to capture the time that we have together. This Shabbos is an in Shabbos. To be here, to be part of the Ruach of Elul, to be here for Slichos, to be here for the Yom Noraim. It's still amazing to me. I'm only able to be here Yom Kippur, but the fact that every Talmud is not here, I understand their family obligations. Family obligations are Rosh Hashanah. There is, not that I've ever seen a Yom Kippur like the Yom Kippur that we have in the Space Medrash. And it is worthwhile to be here. That's what we're here for. That's what we're in Yeshiva for. These are the years that you can do this. To be here for the Aseret Yemei Tshuva, even though college may not be going on, Adarab, but to say, I need to get back in that week or two that I didn't have. It's an amazing program during Aseret Yemei Tshuva, including the Monday before Yom Kippur, a full day, 18 hours straight of learning. We try to get as much in as we possibly can. We also focus every year, starting in Elul, but particularly in Elul, on one theme. 2 years ago, we focused on trying to bring the technology out of the Beis Medrash when it distracts us. And I once again emphasize how critical it is for our Avodas Hashem to know when to be on the phone and when not to be on the phone. Texting, even texting, having the phones out is not permitted in any of the Batei Medrash during Seder. It simply is for our own good. Last year we focused on the fact that we are one Tzibur and that we need to care for each other, and I'll keep emphasizing that as well, and that those of you who are unfortunate enough to live in New York have to invite those who are fortunate enough to live outside of New York for Shabbos and to make them part of your family. This year the Mashgiachim wanted to focus on a different theme. This year for Elul, we're going to focus on the modernization of Islam. No, we're going to focus. This year, and finding me another job. That's a good to focus on just for Elul. To focus on the theme of tefillah, which is something that unfortunately I think we sometimes lose out on, even in our years in Yeshiva. The Gemara in Shabbos says that Rava saw that Rav Hamnuna was davening too long, and he said to him, that you left off. You're leaving the Chaye Olam of learning, the incredible opportunity that we have to learn Baba Kama, the incredible opportunity we have to delve not just into the particular halachos, but the meanings, as Rabbi Berman was talking about. There's so much there to Baba Kama. What does it mean to be responsible for each other and to be responsible for the things that I do? Baba Kama is supposed to give you musar, not just to give you something to think about. So he said, how could you be leaving the study of the law and everything that it tells us about our place in the world? What do you have time to daven? We have so much to conquer. Baba Kama is so long. How are we going to finish? That yes, we have to be focused on our learning, and it's through our learning that we grow and we figure out what our mission is in the world. But we have to still take out time to daven. There are two primary aspects of the yeshiva experience. And we don't give equal attention to them both. And we're not supposed to. Yeshiva is primarily a place to come and to learn and to understand the Hakirs and to understand the Masechta. And again, to understand what the Masechta is telling us about our lives. Torah is primary. As the president said last year, deep, deep into the night Seder. But Zman Tefillah l'chud, and Zman Torah l'chud. There still has to be a focus. We're doing it anyway, taking off time to daven, to make our davening special. And if we don't do it in our years of yeshiva, when are we going to do it? Rabbi Pinkus writes beautifully in the beginning of Sha'ar about Tefillah that we have to make an avoda out of Tefillah. It's amazing, sometimes you don't see it yourselves, but it's amazing how much the Talmidim of the yeshiva grow from year to year in their Torah study. It's amazing. Somebody comes in just in Eretz Yisrael, he thinks he knows everything because he was 1 year in Eretz Yisrael, and he comes here to the Beis Medrash and he realizes at the end of a couple of years he's grown so much. But did he grow in his tefillah as well? Rav Pinkus says, could you imagine coming to yeshiva and being in yeshiva for 3 years and not coming out at a different level of Torah? Who couldn't imagine that? We'd say, I failed. What did I need to come to yeshiva for? I didn't grow in my Torah. He says the same thing has to be true about tefillah. If we're davening the same way when we're seniors, as we were when we came in as sophomores in Eretz Yisrael, then we didn't truly get what we're supposed to get out of yeshiva. There's so many pressures upon all of us here in yeshiva, and tefillah is sometimes the thing that just has to go. I can't focus in tefillah. I can't give it time. I have to go to a quick meeting. I have to go to one that just I'm putter. If you're going to be putter, if you're just going to do what you have to do to get through tefillah and yeshiva, how is that going to be a basis for the rest of the life? I always say to the freshmen when they come, you're not going to get less busy in Mitzvah Hashem when you leave YU. It's here that you have an opportunity to daven like a mensch, to say the words, to take time to come to tefillah, and to daven slowly. A focus on tefillah does not take away from our Torah. It enhances us. It gives us the Yiras Shamayim, hopefully, to understand what we're doing here. Learning in the same place that I daven. Learning in the same place that I daven, like Rami and Ravasi did in Tiberia. There were 13 shuls, but they davened in the place where they learned. You know, since I left being a shul rabbi, I had the chance to go away for Pesach. Get invited to all these programs. My wife has one rule. No matter what happens, we're not going away for the sake. Hey, we go away last day through something, not for the sake of why. Because the experience of the Seder taking place in the same dining room that we eat in every single day and every single Shabbos, it makes the room special. That conversation that we have with our children about the Sodos HaEmunah that goes on in the same room, it makes the room a different room. We have to make both our tefillah and our Talmud Torah special in the Beis Medrash. That's another reason, by the way, to be here for a Slichus and for a Yom Kippur. Because if I'm here for a Yom Kippur and I'm screaming Hashem Hu Elokim with 700 people, it's very hard to learn in the same way when you come back after the break. You're sitting in that same seat that people were so connected to the Ribbono Shalom. Tefillah enhances our Torah learning. It doesn't chas v'shalom take away. And finally, we should daven for hatzlacha in our learning. I find that if I ask the Ribbono Shalom for help with my learning, it changes the way I look at my learning. It makes it an activity which is even more intricately connected to the Ribbono Shalom, that reminds me that the Torah is a gift from the Ribbono Shalom. Daven, that you should have hatzlacha and yeshiva. They don't have to be two separate things. Daven that yechaveru, daven that yeshiva should have hatzlacha. Daven that we should be matzliach to learn about the Talmud and learn it well. But we have to focus on our tefillah as well. We'll be using different opportunities around yeshiva to focus on the theme of tefillah, both from the Rosh Yeshiva, Sichos Musar, different opportunities of Mashafta's teaching. some Hilchos Tefillah at different times when they started saying the love thing. Okay, there are Shem doing Chelik Vav. There are different opportunities. The reality with Tefillah, though, is that you really have to make time for yourselves. You really have to carve out the time. And I encourage everyone not to let Tefillah fall by the wayside of your time in Yeshiva. We're looking for you for opportunities, things that we can do. We'll be doing, at least during Elul, short vad after Mincha, on Tefillah, towards the front of the basement, for just a couple of minutes after the 2:30 Mincha in Glock. But we really need your help as well, because Tefillah really is about creating focus and staying with that focus and making the minyanim on campus beautiful and not just something that gets swept away with every time. Again, I want to wish everybody much hatzlacha during the year. We should strive not just for the little bit. What Rosh Hashanah teaches us is that we have to, as Berman said, we have to really be striving for it all. It's difficult to focus on the little things that you have in your schedules, your daily issues, and realize that the things that Berman is telling you are really possible. From this room will come the leadership of tomorrow, will come the Torah of tomorrow, and it is so exciting to be able to be here together with you. Each year will start, the ones that start before 1 will start at 1, and everything will start at 1 o'clock.
Mendo.